Hi everyone, welcome to this special Game Republic webinar on driving sales for Christmas. Snow's falling, look at it. Mince pies are on sale as well, and it's great to have Other Things agency here today, who recently worked on the marketing for the game Squirrel with a Gun, gaining 2.6 million views on TikTok. So this webinar will give you tips that Other Things have learned in games marketing and ways of ramping up sales of your games during Christmas and at other times of the year as well. We'll have a short presentation and then we'll have time for a Q&A. So if you have any questions at all, please pop them into the Q&A section of Zoom and we'll answer them at the end. Big thanks to our official partners, as always, for supporting our events program at Game Republic. That's Barclays Games and Creative, Red Kite Games, and Escape Technology. I'll now hand over to Matt Hitchcock and Richie Pears from Other Things. Over to you guys.
Hi everyone. Here on your screen you can see a great example of a super lazy Christmasifying that impresses precisely no one. And I think now would be a good time to clarify that we're not just talking about the festival of Christmas here. We just like the cheap Chris Rea pun that we're weaving into this. We're even going to do a little jingle, but Jackie from Game Republic talked us out of it. I was going to sing it and everything, but yeah, you spared that this time. What we're going to talk about is the holiday season around this time of year, essentially, because there are lots of cultural and geographical nuances to be considered, and we'll try to broadly cover some of that stuff here.
Thanks, Matt. So first up, I'm Richie Pears. I'm creative director and co-founder here at Other Things. We're an integrated creative marketing agency for the gaming and entertainment industry based here in Leeds. Matt?
Here's a few of the, if you skip the slide on, Richie, there's a few of the awesome people that we've worked with in some kind of marketing or creative capacity. But first, actually, I missed my little intro there, didn't I, Richie? Sorry, I was in and out. But yeah, I'm Matt. I'm the MD and co-founder of Other Things. And yeah, as Richie sort of alluded to, we help gaming studios and publishers to get more people to know about and buy their games. So yeah, let's get back on track here. So we work with a whole bunch of studios and publishers, and in some variety. We like to think we know what we're talking about, and here's our show reel to try and prove it.
This show reel is infinitely better with sound, but for now we're just going to play it in the background while I talk over a little bit of some of the things that we do at Other Things. First up, brand design, general design things, key art, store art, game branding, things right through from logos and photo shoots all the way through to full studio and publisher rebrands. We also do social media, influencer management, so managing accounts to create content, all the way from managing accounts to creating content. As you can see here, some video and motion graphics for trailers, lots of other video content. I guess that's very broad, but lots of trailers, live action right through to capture. And we also do an awful lot of web tech and digital. So that's everything from full studio and publisher websites right through to marketing, promo and competition type hype sites. Here you can see some cool stuff we did on Dark Tide and Hutch, a few other brands, Bandai Namco. Here they all are all again. I would recommend you go and watch this with sound because, as I said before, it is better with sound. We're going to start the presentation proper by asking this question. So the first thing that we're asking is, why is Christmas a good time to market your game? So we've identified a number of things. Essentially, the run-up to Christmas is a great time to lean into key behaviours around the holidays. So there's always a surge around buying behaviours in this holiday season. We think some good reasons include gift giving, so discount-driven shopping, last-minute buying, excitement around new games and content. People are buying gifts. Video games make good gifts. It's a good time to market your game. Apparently, video game sales increase over 80% during this Christmas period. So that's a lot of figgy pudding to be had. We think another good reason. Third good reason The key buying window here is large. So when we're talking about Christmas, we're not just talking about Christmas Day or the week before Christmas Day and Boxing Day, but we have that period all the way from Black Friday, which is on the 29th of November this year, right up until into the new year. That's the key period. So when we're talking about Christmas here, we're talking about that time from probably Black Friday up until the new year. Could even be worth factoring into the Chinese New Year as well as part of your marketing and sales strategy, which next year will be the 29th of January. So that's a good few months of 29th of November to 29th of January. Great period when people are gift giving, sales are up. Of course, another good reason, people have more free time to kill playing games. People sat around during that time at home with friends, with family. Obviously, free time equals great time to game and play games. And then the last good reason we think here, kind of an obvious one, but people are receiving various gaming devices. There's new gaming device releases. There's new games. Generally, it's just that season. Gift vouchers as gifts, great reason. Need something from your aunt or your whoever, they'll come in with gift vouchers as gifts. So yeah, some great. Having a strategy around all of these things is absolutely crucial for maximizing game sales in this competitive holiday period. But the next question, Matt.
Yeah, is it right for me? So I mean so kind of lame answer is maybe not. New games launching without sizable marketing budgets will likely get overshadowed by the big games of the year. And that's not just those releasing in the November and December window. People be waiting till Christmas to receive that big game they've been after. But if you've got the budget and you can approach your festive campaign from many different angles to ensure success and cover all of the different marketing touch points that you might need to stand out in today's crowded marketplace, then yeah, for all the reasons that Richie just went through, there are lots of eyeballs on this time period. But if you haven't, then it may be better to wait until the AAA release schedule has chilled out a bit. Maybe Jan, Feb next year, gamers will have more headspace and they'll have those Christmas vouchers still to spend potentially. So yeah, but I think one of the key things that we'd like to say here is it's not a good reason to rush the release date of an indie or AA game to get it out for Christmas. This quote probably shiggy, but we don't know. Nobody seems to know the actual answer, but a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. Is well worth remembering here. However, it's not just about new releases, right? So this can be a good opportunity to promote your existing releases or give them a boost. It can be a good opportunity to renew your marketing efforts around your existing titles. So there's a few ways that you can do that. Obviously, you can spruce up your store pages and your promo artwork, get that all nice and refreshed. Get a new trailer out to help promote the game and all of its benefits around this period. Or even make a festive update to your game directly. Live games can run in-game events that are themed throughout calendar beats of the year. And for different calendars, for different regions, it's not, like I said at the start, it's not just about Christmas. We just kind of themed the name of the presentation around Christmas. This is around strategic beats within the calendar that we can latch onto. So yeah, it's various calendar events that that they offer huge opportunities to drive engagement with your games and running campaigns around those. So offering discounts and bonuses can drive your revenues up. So if you still just about have time to get a plan together this year, I think it's not an exact science, but if all the other non-AAA titles are avoiding this window, then it might just give you more of a chance of getting some cut through this time. So yeah, so just before I move on to this one, I suppose there's a couple of points around getting your titles involved in festive sales. So looking fresh with reinvigorated marketing materials to stand out from the crowd. You can bundle them or offer 2-for-1s on co-op games, things like that. Make your proposition look like really great value. And yeah, let's skip on, please, Richie.
Here you go then. So I feel like I need some kind of drum roll here for Matt, who's going to run us through our top 3 tips, and there might be a bonus tip at the end. Spoiler alert, there might be a bonus tip, but our top 3 tips for marketing a game in the lead up to the Christmas holiday period.
Yeah, thanks, Richie. So, yeah, if you're launching a game, then it'll be as fresh can be anyway. But if you're looking to increase revenue and boost sales of your existing titles over this Christmas or any other holiday period, then making a new and awesome trailer can be a really great investment. It's one of the most immediate ways to show your audience that your game is worthy of their attention. And you can create a temporary use variant that promotes your seasonal offer to sort of maximize the effectiveness of anything that you create. And if you're doing the bare bones basics on your digital store pages, you might be missing a trick. There's look at what the big sellers are doing out there. Is your game doing all of that stuff? You just spent a massive amount of time and effort making a game. Making it look as appealing as possible is absolutely what you should be doing to encourage people to buy it in the store. And as part of that, considering the store art that you're using, if your game's been out for a little while, then the store art might be getting a little tired. Potential buyers might overlook it, might have seen it a ton of times. Does it represent your game as well as it could? Is it performing well? You're looking at the statistics on that. Your click-through rates and such like. Does it actually stand out when you line it up against the 18 trillion other games that are out there? Should it? The answer is yes. So definitely stuff worth taking a look at. So next,
Tip number 2. I'll do like a little intro if you want like that, Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Richie. Yeah, tip 2. But our Robocop GIF has gone and loaded in first, but that's all good because this one's really obvious. It's offer a sale price or discount, right? But it's super important. This time period covers a period of time well known for having sales and discounts, so lean into it. Price sensitive buyers are looking for deals, especially during the holiday season. Offering discounts and bundles increases the perceived value that you're offering and incentivizing more people to make a purchase, particularly when they're shopping for gifts. So you can offer, limited time sales to produce a little buying urgency if you want to do that. Everyone hates missing out on an offer. And can you position your game as the perfect gift? If it's a co-op or multiplayer game, could you offer like a 2-for-1 deal? What makes your offer more compelling than the next one? Remember, games as gifts can also be sent directly on Steam and Xbox. So let people know. Let people know they can make that last minute sale through or buy your game. Make your offer and make it really clear. So yeah, as the gifting season approaches, last minute shoppers are looking for those quick and easy gift options. So, highlight how simple it is to gift your game, especially digitally. And it's just reducing that friction in the buying process, and it can capture those last minute sales, which can significantly boost your revenue in those final days before Christmas.
Then tip number 3.
Yeah, seasonal events and exclusive content. They can really re-engage your existing players and attract new ones. It gives people a reason to revisit or try a game and makes it feel fresh and tied to any sort of, festive or cultural spirit of the time, which can spark interest among new buyers during that gifting season. So remember also, in some parts of the world, your audience will be celebrating Christmas in the heat. So it's not all scarves and snowmen in the visual marketing of something. And also the last one there, can you involve your community and or content creators? Can they get involved somehow? It's a little bit vague as there are so many ways that you could go into that, but it's definitely something to think about. And here's the
tip.
Yeah, the one where it's kind of reiterating this fact that a lot of what we're saying here is not just about Christmas. These are things that you should do regardless of it being Christmas or not. But if you're going to attempt to drive sales in this Christmas period, you should definitely be thinking about this stuff. So we've got the first one that we've got here is to localize your store pages. So even if the game itself isn't localized, and assuming it's not some story-heavy narrative game, then even if the game itself isn't localized, a store page that is might open it up to a whole new audience. So just doing like simplified Chinese would be a really easy thing to do, and it might just pay big. Yeah, as we keep saying, a lot of this stuff isn't just stuff that you have to do around the Christmas period. It's stuff that you can leverage all year round, catering to all the different seasonal and cultural events on the calendar, and in different geographical locations around the world. So yeah, the other point here is make sure you utilize your social media channels to shout out about all this great new promotional and marketing content that you've put together. If it's great work and it resonates with your community, then it can get amplified exponentially. And also that very same community, consider whether you can reward them, with a gift of some sort. It's not only a reward to the loyal fans, but it can be a good way of getting lapsed players to boot up your game and get into it again. So yeah, just to illustrate a few of the things that we've been talking about. So the first one here, yeah, Vampire Survivors. It originally launched in this same Q4 window, and it's a huge success. The studio behind it, Poncle, it invests a heck of a lot into its marketing. We were at a Game Republic talk not so long ago, and it was revealed that over 50% of their actual workforce works in marketing. So that's just remarkable, I think, considering the success of the game. It just proves the power of marketing in this environment, and it focuses on producing excellent value for money for its players. Like a lot of indie breakthrough hits, it did catch a bit of luck, but fundamentally, it had and has all of the right pieces in place to secure success. Not least of which is a laser focus on marketing and standing out from the crowd. So yeah, have a look at Vampire Survivors and play it because it's awesome. Dig VR is a game made by Leeds-based Just Add Water, and they work in the same building as us when we're not working from home as well, right here in Leeds. But it's published by Wired Productions, and they recently made the decision to delay the launch of that game because Batman Arkham Stories is being released in the same window. It's tomorrow, in fact. Batman's going to be a pretty big deal. It'll be the focus of a lot of VR commentators' chat. So they've made the decision not to have that fight because fighting Batman is generally considered to be a bad move, which won't end well. And finally here, a little bit of self-promotion, but we've recently made the launch trailer for Squirrel with a Gun. That was a huge success for them. If you're able to create marketing material that genuinely engages with your target audience, and it's not just the same old stuff that everyone expects, which then becomes wallpaper, then you might just have a chance of standing out amongst a ridiculous number of games that are releasing all the time, basically.
Excellent. Thank you, Matt. So obviously, if you guys want to talk marketing and promotion, promoting your advertising your game in the Christmas period or any period, then obviously we're here to reach out. I'm just going to jump through our top tips in order, so you've got them on one nice slide at the end. Number one, refresh your marketing stuff. Number two, offer a sale price or a discount. Number three is around seasonal content and updates, keeping things relatable to the season. And don't forget, a game is for life, not just for Christmas. So yeah, thank you very much, Jamie, for having us. Those are our top tips. Got any questions? Back over to you in the studio, Jamie.
Thanks, Richie. Thanks, Matt. That was really useful, really interesting. We're open for questions, so if anybody's got any questions, just pop them into the Q&A section below. I've got a few questions just to sort of kick off. Do you need to consider how well your game will play on sites like TikTok and on social media when you're planning and developing a game? Is it sort of super important to do that?
Do you want to take that one, Richie? I feel like I've done a lot of talking.
Yeah. Sorry, Jim. Can you just repeat the question again for me? Sorry.
Yeah.
It's how
obviously nowadays, games need to have catch fire and get a lot of marketing and influencers, especially playing them. So do you need to think about that as a developer when you're making a game, that things that will work well, or do you think you should just concentrate on making the game the best you can?
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be a balance. I suppose I like to plan. What's the saying? If you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So I
Yeah.
think for me, it's always going to be a balance. You've always got to be making the game that is true to you, that you just want to make, and just do what you need to do. But always thinking about how you're going to promote this thing, and how
Mm.
you're going to actually get it out there to the world is, for me, a massively important thing that everybody should be doing when they start off making the game. There's no point in making a game that is not, well, unless you're not looking to make any money or any traction with it, or it's purely just for your own self-enjoyment. But if you're making a game that wants to be popular, then you do need to be thinking about that stuff for like at the beginning of your journey, I think. Does that answer your
Yeah.
question?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, we've had a question from Jackie at Game Republic. Hello, Jackie. What do you think about engagement? Are there specific platforms that work better for user engagement right now, given all the Twitter negativity? And I mean, we've moved to Blue Sky this weekend, and you've had success on TikTok. What are the really engaged platforms at the moment that you use?
Mm. Yeah, TikTok's pretty big for games. Like the Scroll with
Mm,
the Gun trailer really took off on there. There's a lot of gamers consuming games related content on TikTok, and yeah, if it catches a wave, you can get huge numbers of people aware of your game. I mean, I think Twitter's not to be ignored still. I know there is, probably not the time to get into the Twitter debate, but there are people
yeah.
leaving the platform, but it's not completely dead. But yeah, perhaps not one to focus on right now. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, taking just making sure you've got really strong marketing materials in the first place that you can put just about everywhere that your audience might be. It depends where you're spending your time. You might have a great community that live outside of those platforms.
mm,
Might
mm.
have a really great Discord or something where you want to be making sure that you're making content that's really tailored towards the community that you're building there, rather than
Yeah.
sort of catch all, look at this thing, it's really cool kind of content. So I don't think that there's one answer to it, but there's definitely a lot of life in TikTok still, and
Mm, mm.
for the foreseeable future in terms of making content for that platform.
Yeah.
Certainly, one of the first things that we do when we start working with a new client or new title for an existing client is look at exactly where the audience is. So we do a big piece on trying to identify, making sure we identify the audience, making sure that we are then creating content that talks to the audience and not just this kind
Mm,
of blanket approach. So yeah, certainly, to Matt's point, it varies, but there are some obviously common
mm.
places that people do hang out that work really well. But yeah, could be Discord, could be Reddit, could be Twitter, or anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at the when we had the event in Liverpool a few weeks ago with Ponkle, they used a great example of a young kid had drawn a picture of the Vampire Survivors screen, in kind of kids drawing, and then
Mm.
the developer had actually made it into a level for Vampire Survivors using the little kids kind of drawings, which I thought was really sweet. But obviously, it really caught on. The community were like, "Oh wow, this is a brilliant level," and it's just it's kind of thinking about that stuff, isn't it, and kind of
Mhm.
working out new ways of interacting with your fan base.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Um, Good stuff. So Jackie's asked another question. Well, quite a few. uh, what shouldn't you do when promoting sales at Christmas? What are the kind of no-go areas or things that you shouldn't do at Christmas?
That's a, that's a good question, isn't it? What shouldn't you do?
Yeah, yeah,
Don't.
Front of mind for me is be really cheesy, like unless you're totally doing it knowingly, and
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, there's so many tropes that you can, well trodden paths that you can walk down for Christmas stuff that it's just
Mm,
like it's just really lame. But
Mm.
yeah, what are you gonna say, Richie?
I'd say you shouldn't assume that everybody is, yeah, you shouldn't assume that everybody is into Christmas. And as
yeah,
Matt said
yeah.
before,
Good point.
there's an idea around, people celebrate different holidays around the world at different times. So this period that we're talking about now between Black Friday and say the Chinese New Year. So you've got 29th of November, Black Friday, you've got Chinese New Year, 29th of Jan. So it's a big old period, and there's lots of other, there's lots of things that happen throughout that time. Christmas Day being one day, I guess, or the countdown to Christmas. Certainly in the West is a good time to talk about Christmas, or to brand things Christmassy or do things that are Christmas themed, but that isn't necessarily going to resonate with everybody else around the world. So depending on where your market is, you shouldn't assume that Christmas means Father Christmas, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, very good point. I've got a question from Jack. Hi, Jack. Do you do anything differently for free-to-play games?
I would say not necessarily, not in its entirety. A lot of this stuff still applies. But I guess if it's a free to play, then your revenue model is going to be some sort of in-game transaction. It sounds like it potentially lends itself more to creating some kind of gift, a small Christmas seasonal gift. But I think same rules apply, if it's about getting getting your game out there at a time when people are looking at games, then all of those various marketing activities would still be employed by a free-to-play game. So yeah, possibly it gives you that option of releasing an item that a user might normally pay for, and it's that kind of reward your community element of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, I think you still do that marketing work to make sure your game stands out at this time of year.
Yeah. Yeah, mobile games seem particularly good around the sort of seasonal stuff. So you'll see, mobile games with like Halloween updates where you get Halloween clothing and all that kind of stuff. They seem very, very good at that sort of thing, especially free-to-play games.
Yeah. Absolutely. We've got a couple of clients in that zone, and always a really good time of year for them for engagement. And yeah, there are all sorts of things you can do. We covered a lot of those kinds of things in the presentation there. But yeah, to answer Jack's question directly, I think you do all those things, but there's possibly even more you can do with a free-to-play game. Any live service game where you can do some sort of some sort of seasonal update to engage people at this time of year.
Yeah, good stuff.
There's a reason why Fortnite do exactly this, right? It's all about lots of. There's a reason why they do that, to keep people engaged and to keep the story going. But one other thing I would so this is perhaps assuming that free to play is on mobile, maybe rightly or wrongly here, but just kind of going down the mobile route thought for a second. We mentioned around how platforms, new devices, new consoles are released around this time or gifted. So somebody receives a new console for Christmas. Mobile phone sales through the roof. I think around this time, and that is the ultimate mobile gaming platform, right? So for mobile games, everybody, you're getting a new mobile for Christmas. You're a young one that gets a new mobile, and you're sticking all your apps on it, and you're looking in those stores and you're thinking, what's cool? What can I put on this new fancy mobile that I've just received? Ideal for this time.
Yeah, good point, actually. Cool, we're getting a few questions in now. Dan, what would be the approach? Yeah, good question. For early access, demos, prologue, beta, or other pre-release development stages? So obviously, you talk about releasing a game, but a lot of games nowadays, they go on to early access and that sort of thing. So what would be your approach if you were asked to promote a game like that leading up to Christmas?
I think it would follow much of the same things that we've outlined, really. You still need fundamentally you need a way to get people who don't know about your game interested in it. And one of the most immediate ways of doing that is to create some video content of some sort that shows why people should play your game. And one way of doing that is to create a trailer and make it really good and really engaging, and ideally have something about it that makes it shareable and interesting to the community that you're trying to target with your game. So that sort of stuff still applies. Making your page, even if your game's in early access or demo stage, actually investing some time in creating really cool key art and promo art for your store is all stuff you can do, before a game, and making a really comprehensive, informative but engaging store page. All stuff you can do. Don't necessarily think because it's early access, I'll do all that stuff later. It all needs doing. If you're wanting to engage people at that early stage to get their feedback, the whole point of early access, I suppose. Treat it like a real launch in terms of the marketing materials, or a full launch, should I say? The marketing approach, because a lot of it, whilst you can spend exponential amounts of money marketing a game, you don't need to do a lot of the hygiene core factors. You don't need to spend ridiculous amounts of money, but it's a good investment if you're wanting to stand out in a really crowded marketplace, which we're in, as we know.
I think one important thing to do that we tend to do with clients who it seems to be clients that are a little bit bigger, they have a little bit more money to spend. So creating like a hype site for them, we call them hype sites. It's essentially a mini site, a destination. It's somewhere that you can direct people to say, this is my game and there's more information about it. A lot of people use a Steam page or an App Store page as their destination, but creating something that's in the middle that I'd love to see more and more indie games doing. Create this, try and build a community that is more like your community from one of these, hype sites or mini landing pages, where you can control the narrative a little bit more, where you can perhaps you can offer up more content, you can start offering up exclusive access to things, you can build in, your own member area or whatever it might be. Again, there's lots of places to do this, but those, I think, creating a I suppose the answer here is have a destination that people can go to find out about your thing, and build that in whatever way makes sense to your brand and your players or your potential players.
Because that means that I suppose, like, if you bring the game to PC Steam first, it means when you bring it to Switch or whatever other platforms, you can kind of announce that on the site, say, hey, we're now send an email out to thousands of your fans that you've collected their email addresses, and then say, hey, look, we're now on Switch or whatever. It's a good tip. That
That's what we're here for, Jamie.
Good stuff. We've got one from anonymous attendee. Is it better to create separate accounts for each of your games? Like, I suppose what you're talking about, like in hype sites and things, or stick to your main studio account as an indie dev? What's the approach to that?
Is our answer, Matt, here always going to be, well, it depends on what...
Gosh. Shall I go? We've had to answer this question, a couple of times before, part of a social media strategy, and it depends, but the actual answer, I suppose, to get into it a little bit more, and the restriction is, if you're a studio that becomes known for a particular kind of game, or a particular genre or whatever it might be, but you want to release something that's very different to that, then talking about that on your studio socials is potentially not talking to the right audience, and can alienate the audience, or can't speak, the audience that's there already. So let's say you're a well-known FPS studio, but you want to release a racing game. And you start talking about that racing game on your studio socials, the FPS people are going to be like, not interested. And you're also, well, not all of them, but you know what I mean. And also that you're not targeting the right sort of people that you might want to be. So it can be quite limiting, but you're going to have a bigger audience already there on your studio page potentially. So you want to tap into that and leverage it for your new game. So yeah, back to the original answer, which is it depends. But a way around it can be you talk about and you repost your individual games, socials and other channels through your main studio channel. But it can often be a better move to have a specific social channel per game. But it really often depends, how much you can invest into it as well, at the end of the day. If you can commit the time and the effort, because it's going to be more of it to have, 3+ channels than just one, then
Yeah.
do it. If you've got the resources or the budget to nurture them and make them good, then it's gonna be more useful in the long run to have them split out. Because you still got your core channel there to be a catch-all for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Good. Well, I hope that answers your question there. We've got time for a couple more questions, so if you want to pop them in the Q&A. I'll come to Jackie. How important is merch? You designed the posters for Squirrel. Was that really useful for promotion?
They were great fun to make. That's for sure. They were great fun to work on.
Yeah.
I think more it was National Album Day over the weekend, right? And there was lots of people talking about so this is National Music Album Day, I guess, where the idea was trying to encourage people to go out, buy an album, listen to it, buy an old classic album that you had. And I listened to quite a few people on like Radio 2 and Radio 6 over the weekend talking about how tangible tangible things are more and more coveted. Then more year on year now we're getting more vinyl sales, we're getting more CD sales, and I think similar for games. People, you go to Gamescom, people just love having merch. They love stickers, love t-shirts, they love posters. You love little model. Merch sells for sure. So if you've got a cool thing that you can do that is related to your game, it makes sense. It's something that it might be a model of a character that's just really cool that people fall in love with, and you spot there's an opportunity to make that thing physically and people can have it and stick it in the room. I'm sure you've got lots of merch in the background there, Jamie. I had to
too many.
I had to clear all my merch out. So I think, and merch is obviously a very big, broad thing in itself, right? Quite often when you talk about merch, some people think about a baseball cap, which might not be right for your thing, but for sure, how important is merch? I'd say pretty important.
Yeah.
It's important, but it depends where your focus is, how much, time, effort, and budget you want to put into it. Because, there are more important things that could have greater reach that you'd want to do first. But it can be really effective if you release something really cool that people want around a product that's already got some interest. It can really generate engagement, particularly, if you can then run giveaways around it. Or as in the case of, Squirrel with a Gun that you just highlighted there, Jamie. It can be an incentive to buy the physical copy of a game. Obviously, digital purchases have increased so much, over the past, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, versus before, where we all used to go to the shop and buy our games, and so people probably want more of a reason now to actually get a physical one, and that's where merch can come in.
And talking about the holiday season, that's the perfect gift, right? This is, merch can be brilliant gifts for people. So if it works for you and your brand or your game, then makes sense. It could be a giftable thing.
Yeah. And we've got good contacts at companies like Limited Run, who do some really good stuff around kind of physical copies of games and merch. And a couple of our companies have had their games released by them, and it's quite nice to think about. So if any members out there need an intro or anything, let me know. Good stuff. I think we've got probably time for one more question. It's from Jackie again. What do you do if you get negative comments when you're trying to boost sales? Because you do a lot on social media, where there's sometimes a bit of negativity, I found, on social media.
It depends. I personally just go and cry. And then...
I mean, it's a serious thing, I suppose, because a lot of social media managers and community managers have to be really careful and watch out for their mental health and what stuff they get access to, because it could be pretty pretty nasty online. So I mean, what do what have you found with company, some of the large companies or even some of the small companies that have done to sort of help with that, handling negative comments and stuff while you're trying to boost sales?
I've experienced it, when I've worked with gaming companies, on staff, and also as part of this agency now, where we're managing social media accounts, and comments can come through. It's it's tricky, and I hate to give vague sort of it depends answers all the time, but it really does. Sometimes you can partly it depends on the tone of voice for your brand. If you have a particular tone of voice where you're able to, almost talk to your users on a level, or a little bit of sass is expected, then sometimes things can be shut down in quite a, in quite a clever or humorous way.
Yeah, yeah.
But it would depend on the nature of the negativity. What angle it's coming from. If it's subjective, or trivial enough that it can be made fun of and brushed away, then sometimes that's the thing to do. But if it's a valid, issue that that's reflecting negatively upon your brand, then professionalism has to be the way to go. Show that you're listening, you're going to responding to things. But I suppose, to try and answer this question in the sense of, what should a social media manager do if that's happening, or what should a business what should a social media manager do? I think, don't get too involved in a back and forth online. You don't want to be looking like you're having some argument with your audience. But also, you need to answer things in a way that's not shutting things down, but shows you're listening, and things will be done, and an appropriate response will be made, when the time's right and everything's been considered properly. And from a business's point of view, there are all sorts of ways you can address it. I've worked with businesses where, sort of, and I won't name any names, but poor decisions have been made around gameplay mechanics, perhaps, which communities are then latching onto, and they will not let go, and they continually come up in every single time the game or the company raises their head online. That section of the audience are there, throwing hooks again, and that can be hard to deal with. Those sort of things need a definitive answer and way forward from the company in order to shut them down. And that's not necessarily something that a social media manager is going to be able to do. That's more of a business strategy, marketing strategy thing. So lots of different ways to do it, I suppose. So
good
I think
stuff.
understanding the audience ultimately, and talking from a marketing point of view, I think it's important to understand that what you're going to put out there is going to be subjective. But back to understanding who your audience is, and putting stuff out there that you think is going to resonate with them, that you think they're going to like, that talks to them and makes sense, should mitigate against bad comments. But you are always going to have people, we've put trailers out and people have made comments about it. It's made me feel sad. I've gone, oh, but I really, I thought that trailer really, did a job. And generally the it's well received, but then there are the few odd ones that come up, and they're just a bit stupid, really. But it doesn't not make you feel sad, and doesn't not make you want to feel like you can do something about it. So you just got to not take it personally, and talk to people. I think talk to your manager, talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues, and make sure that you stay safe out there. It's wild.
Good stuff, Richie. Brilliant. Thank you to Richie and Matt. That was a really interesting chat there about marketing and handling social media and all that kind of stuff. And so, I mean, congrats as well on the success of the Squirrels game. I mean, that's just doing really well for you. And again, how do folks get in touch with you? It's have you got the slide up there again, or
it's gone? You can do otherthings.xyz is probably the easiest way to get to the website, or it's just Matt at otherthings.xyz.
There we go. That's it. Great stuff. Lovely. Well, thanks again. That was really interesting. And thank you to everyone for watching and asking questions as well. So, yeah, a little bit about what we're up to coming up with Game Republic. We're partnering with EGX, and we'll be at the industry talks taking place this Friday at Excel in London. And our next Game Republic event is obviously Gameo on the 21st of November at WX in Wakefield, which is going to be huge. Remember to vote for your favorite indie game made in the North as well. Those votes are happening right now. We also have just a few places left for our free graduate work-ready bootcamp, beginning soon for anyone based in North Yorkshire. So if you want to get involved in that, it's a fantastic bootcamp. Get in touch with us via email or the Game Republic website, and yeah, we'll reply to your note. We've also started the move over to Blue Sky. So if you're on there, give us a follow. We're also on LinkedIn as well. We'll be staying on Twitter, but we'll be doing most of our stuff, I think, on the other platforms. A big thanks again as well to our official partners for supporting our events program, Barclays Games and Creative, Red Kite Games, and Escape Technology. So thanks again to everyone, and we'll see you all soon. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you.